What's up, guys? In this quick tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to make your renders look good. You may have noticed that I have been doing a lot of physics simulations lately, and one thing I found is that when you're doing them, just doing a few easy settings will make your render look a lot better. You may notice that your renders aren't looking very realistic, and that could be due to a couple of things. One of them being the lighting, the other, it has no blur to it. And if you don't have vector blur, it's called, if you don't have motion blur, your renders will look completely CG and completely unrealistic. And obviously, my renders don't look photorealistic, but they, you know, I enjoy the look of them. So, we will first be setting up our lighting. And lighting is important. By default, you only have this little point light, and really, that sucks. If you use this light in your renders, you're not going to get good results. But it's easy to change it. We're just going to take our lamp, we're going to move it to a position where you think you might want a light, make it a sun lamp. And an easy thing to do to position this sun lamp is to add in an empty. Plain axes is fine. Select the sun, shift select the empty, and do Control-T, track to constraint. That way, when we move our sun, it will always be pointing to the empty, or to the main object in the scene. So, we're going to make this just a little bit yellow to make it more sun-like. Everything else is fine. Now, duplicate that. We're going to do a simple 3-point lighting setup. This is going to be a sun also, but it's going to be blue, and it's going to be less powerful, like 0.5 is good. Duplicate that point light, and this is where it gets interesting. We don't want it pointing at the center anymore. We want it pointing at the camera, because this is the fill light, and you want it to have a rim effect that points directly at the camera at all times. So go to the constraints panel, and you'll see we have this track 2 for the empty, but change it from empty to camera. And this will make it so that our empty will be able to point directly at the camera, or not our empty, our light will, and that is good. So let's turn that down a little bit. We don't need it that high, and make it a hemi light. It can be really any type of light except for point light, because point lights really aren't good. Also, I wouldn't recommend a spotlight, because then it would leave a mark on the floor for the spot. But yeah, so that's our lighting. And if you were to render this now, it says no render output node in the scene. That's because I was messing with it earlier. Unclick to use nodes. Unclick that. Now press F12. You'll see it looks like this. But yours will not look like that because I have ambient occlusion selected. So yours will look similar to this. Your scene. My scene is just a simple physics setup that I did with Shatter Physics. And say I were to render this frame, it would look like that. And that honestly looks horrible. There's a few things we can do to fix that. One of them being the materials. So on layer 2, I have my shattered object. And as you can see, I have some going through the floor, but I'm not sure how to fix that yet. I tried increasing the... Yeah, anyways. Okay, so select all the objects. Shift select one of them, make sure one of them is selected, and add a new material. We're going to call this one breakable. Breakable is fine. And let's just make it a darker gray. You can honestly make it any color you want. The important thing, though, is to just make it contrasted against the background, and so that you'll be able to see it. If everything's white or light gray, it's not going to look good. So now you'll see that we changed this one, but we want all of them to be that color. So select all of them, as we already have. Press Control L, and then link the materials. And that will make them all the same color. Give them all this material. So that's nice. But we're also going to add a material for our little box here. And then we'll also link that material to our lovely backdrop we have here. Control L materials. So now we have some contrast. And now you can see the shards easier. it looks a lot better. There's a few more things we can do though. First being ambient occlusion and environment lighting. And these are very important. They basically soften the shadows and they add in shadows where it's like if there's no light, if you look outside at a place that's in the shadows, there'll still be shadows inside of the shadows. There'll be like little soft, short areas of darkness around the edges of things, and that's what ambient occlusion is. It just puts in more shadows, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So enable it, put it at like 0.4, keep it at add, and also add in environment lighting, which will give us more light and also has a similar effect to ambient occlusion. So press F12, and you'll see it looks like this now. And if we were to make a new render slot and uncheck these two and render it before, and I can show you before and after, you see one, it makes it brighter. It softens up the shadows. And yeah, it just overall looks a lot better. It softens up the shadows like right there. So that's good. But there's one more thing we can do. Obviously, you see these grains right here. If you wanted to make that look better, you could increase, turn it back on. You could go to samples down here under the gather, change to like 15. It'll take longer to render, but it will look substantially better. And also, if you have the samples that high, you might as well just increase the thing. But I won't keep it at 15, that's taking too long to render. Yeah, that looks just great. Okay, but there's one more thing we can do. You have your render, you have your scene all set up, and you're noticing that even though everything's moving, it looks like they're not moving. It looks like they're just floating in air. And it's a very classic mistake of animators, where they don't motion blur things, and it's a really bad thing. So go to compositing up here, click use nodes, and we're gonna add in an input, render layers. For you, they should be already done, but for some reason it didn't work for me. Add in an output composite. Okay, connect these. All right, you have our image. Really simple to enable render layers, or to enable motion blur. Shift A, add, filter, vector blur. I use vector blur because it's easiest to control, and it, I think, looks the best, because it's true motion blur. To do this though, you'll see we have this purple speed option here, but we don't have a purple output right here. So we have to go in this render panel, go to layers and enable the vector layer, and that will give us this speed option right here that we connect to the speed option here, and the Z option here we connect to the Z option in render layer. And yeah, you can see that there's virtually no difference. That is caused by two reasons. One, there's not enough motion going on right now, or two, your blur isn't set high enough. So if we increase our blur to like 3, you will notice that we still don't have enough blur. Increase it to 5. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I can see that there's places where we're having blur. But it might be also caused, like I said before, it might be because there's not enough motion going on at the moment. So let me bake this through again. For some reason, it's being very weird. Why are you doing that? Alright, well, I don't know why it's acting like that, but let me render this again. And basically, as this is rendering, I'll explain motion blur. Motion blur takes previous frames and adds them in. So as you can see here, we have this motion right here, and in the, I don't know, 2 frames that it's moving from this position to this position, it's, you know, it's moving very fast. And so basically what this does is, you can see this better if you turn the samples down. It creates little outlines of the previous frames where it like previously was, and it makes it look like it's, you know, moving fast in the air, because like if you move your hand quickly by your face, you can't see every frame of it. And so this is one way where you can make everything look a lot more realistic. And yeah, motion blur, you probably don't want it that high, maybe like 2. But yeah, it really adds to the look of your image. So if we were to compare this to this, you can obviously see, I mean, this is with our lighting too, so you can obviously see there's this is much better. Yeah, it will give you much more professional results that, you know, are portfolio worthy if you wanted to put them in a portfolio. So yeah, thank you for watching this quick tip. I hope you learned something, and please subscribe if you want more videos. Thank you.